Well, I think maybe it's the 11th commandment. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's garden. But I do, and I covet my friend Jenny Williams' garden, her and her husband Tom's beautiful garden in Northeast Wales. I can't wait for you guys to see it. Jenny and I became friends on Instagram, and I really do feel like we've become friends. Her son Luke even has given me a little private piano concert in the past. She and Tom have 3 sons that they are raising on this absolutely beautiful property. It's about 3.5 acres. It dates back to the 18th century. It's got a number of different components to it, and we'll put some links below so you can visit her website. She's got kind of a chronicle or a diary of how they created this absolutely magical and quintessentially English garden. It's just beautiful. She's got a long walled garden. She's got pleached trees. She had, well, it's just incredible. I can't wait for you guys to see it. So I'm gonna let Jenny take it away. She and her husband Tom have done all of this work themselves, and it's only about 10 years old, you guys. So you talk about inspirational. So Jenny, honey, you take it away. I'm just so impressed and a little bit jealous of the beautiful garden you have across the pond.
Thank you, Linda, for giving us the opportunity to show our garden on your YouTube channel. Very, very grateful. Our garden here at the laundry is about 3 and a bit acres in size. We have planted all of it ourselves, and we have also designed it too. We are amateurs on the design front, but we are design-minded people. Tom is a builder and I'm a hairdresser. We started the garden here about 10 years ago. The walls to this wall garden and to our home date back to the late 1770s. We will start with the wall garden, and what we're going to do is give you more of a bird's eye view and a better taste of it. The wall garden itself is 1 acre in size, so looking at it from above will be a better way to appreciate the scale. So I'm going to sit in this bucket, and Tom is going to drive this, is what we call the green machine, or you call it something else. It's a front loader, is that right?
Yeah, it's just a small loader, and it's very useful around the garden for moving, top dressing, or taking away materials. And our paths have been designed with this in mind, really, so that we can move machinery around without worrying about squashing any plants.
So I'm going to go up in this, and you're going to come with me. So here's Tom behind me, and we're going to go up shortly. I'm going to spin you around so we can see more of the garden. And here we are. This doorway is in the north side of the wall garden. So we are entering along the west side, which is this wall here. So I'm going to probably start going up shortly. To the left is what we call the tea garden, which is where everyone spills out from the old greenhouse, our visitors, when we open our garden here. Okay, so I'm going up now, and we're going to take you along the west walk along here. So we have the lawn in the middle, and about 7 years ago there was nothing here. This was just lawn and that mulberry tree just in the distance over there. first thing we did was set about putting in the pathways. And once we had put in the pathways, we then put in the yew hedging, which is doing very, very well. There are about 400 yews within all of the hedging. And then we seeded the lawn ourselves. So going back down here, so this is the west wall, and here are these beautiful pillars that used to form the front porch to the hall. This tree against the wall here is a magnolia limelight, which flowers in the spring and looks amazing. It's a beautiful butter yellow. And this here is what we call the new west border, which is starting to take shape. And we are now approaching, these trees to the left of me as well are Portuguese laurels, which we've been training from small twigs really. So this southwest corner here is still under construction and is a project we will eventually get to one day. But we filled it with some flowers and made it look as pretty as we can. And here we are. This part of the garden is the cutting garden, and we created this only last year. The plane trees went in the year before to form a nice sheltered area. Because this is the south wall, this part of the garden gets extremely hot, especially in the summer months, of course. So we wanted an area where you could get some respite from the sunshine. So we've planted 6 plane trees, and we are creating a really nice canopy above, which will probably take another, I'd say, 5 years to completely cover this area. But so far it's doing reasonably well. And once it joins, it'll be lovely and sheltered here. So in the cutting garden there are predominantly dahlias and lots of other pretty flowering. This here is a slate drinker that came from a farm up the road. And just beyond, on the east side, we've planted an orchard. That is slowly maturing. So here's the view looking back onto the lawn area in the house. So as we move along the south border here, you can see the east side is ready for another project, for another day, when time allows. We have lots of ideas for in here, as you can imagine, and it's all a case of time for us and money. But straight ahead of us, I'm hoping one day we can have a greenhouse and fill this corner with probably more flowers and grow some vegetables. Oh, there's the robot mower. So you can see the orchard, and we've got apples and pears and a cherry, all nicely maturing. We planted those. This is the mulberry tree here, which we are told is probably about 100 years old. Tom's father remembers it here as a boy. So we've planted these yew trees, and they are coming along very, very well. Really happy with them. So they're about 7 years old now, and they went in as very, very small twigs, as I call them. And you can see across here. So looking back to the west wall. And we are moving down to the north side of the garden now, which is where we have a big set of gates, which are very useful for bringing in much bigger machinery. And our hen house, so we have 6 hens. Very lucky, happy hens in there. And here we are, moving back towards the west doorway, which leads on to the spring garden, which we've been developing over the past 2 years with the help of a chap called Mel. But this is a good view. I love this view because the sun rises just beyond those trees and we get some great pictures here. So here's my little potting shed and my scruffy area. Us gardeners all have scruffy areas. Okay, you can see a bit more what we call the tea garden here. A lovely place to sit, really. And looking back through the doorway that we came in from. And just beyond there you can see our house, which I'll take you to in a moment. So here we are at our crossroads. Just quickly looking back down here. That tree to the right is a Gladitsia, by the way, you were wondering. A tree I love very much. Okay, moving into the west entrance, into the trees, into the woodland. Okay, here's our area where we have lots of muck, and our working area where we have our compost. And so down here is what we call the spring garden. Well, there's a little network of pathways. Difficult to see in this sunlight. Hopefully I'm not going to hit that branch. Such a gorgeous day. I can't believe it. You can just see, obviously it's called the spring garden because most of what we planted in here looks at its best in spring. Just see the roundhouse here beyond. We do have guests staying at the moment, so I can't really give you a full tour, but you can see a lot more on our website. I'm just going to give you a quick look from above of the spring garden here. You can just see the pathways and the central bit. And these here are tree stumps that came from Tom's dad's land from his woods. And all of this garden is available to our guests to fully enjoy whilst they are staying here. So I'm just looking around here. Here is the roundhouse. Look at the hills beyond. So these are the Clwydian Range hills. We are based in northeast Wales, UK. And the view is just panoramic, it really is. So over these hills you get incredible sunrises all year. My favourite sunrises are in the autumn because that's That's when I'm up early enough to catch them. But we have created a little garden oasis as well, which surrounds the roundhouse for our guests to enjoy. Also gives them privacy and just some calm, really. This area is what we call the rose garden, and we have 4 different varieties of roses here, 30 roughly planted, and behind me here is Woollerton Old Hall, and just below me here is the beautiful Lady Emma Hamilton. Just beyond are Darcy Bustle, which is the deeper colour, and Gertrude Jekyll. They're having their second flush at the moment, but they really do look their absolute best around June time. This part of the garden here is the Lime Avenue, which leads you to our house. We planted the Lime Avenue about 9 years ago when we first moved here, and we trained these trees ourselves. They went in as 12-foot whips, and we used a steel structure to help form the pleached effect that you see now. Just beyond here you can see my 3 pots with hydrangea Annabelles in, so you can have a look.
Have a sneaky peek. There we go.
And the rose against the wall is Madame Alfred Carrier, which will hopefully cover this wall eventually. I'd say this part of the garden, for me, looks incredible in spring, early spring, because underneath these lime trees we have got well over now, because they have multiplied, 400 plus of the Thalia narcissi, and it looks absolutely spectacular. Eventually, in due course, we'd like to probably lawn this area to create a more overall calming feel. But at the moment,
Just feels a little bit harsh with all this gravel.
moving on from the limes, is the dragon. This is yours, actually.
This is mine.
Thomas.
This dragon was made by Ben Broadbent, who you'd be able to see on Instagram probably, or Facebook, or
Yes,
both.
he's on Instagram.
And he is a sculptor. We met him at the National Garden Scheme, the RHS show at Tatton and in the UK, and he had produced some wonderful stainless steel stags, a stag and a doe I think it was, and we just thought they were amazing, and we wanted them to do something for us, but we weren't quite sure what. Anyway, about a year later we decided a dragon would be great to signify
So this dragon
Wales.
guards our house. It has
Yes.
a pointy tail as well, which,
All dragons should have a pointy tail.
yeah. We haven't named it, but it's a Welsh dragon.
And it's pole dancing for some reason. Okay, on we go.
Moving on to what we call the house garden. The house dates back to the 1770s and would have been the laundry and dairy and probably even the servants' quarters to the main hall. And 10 years ago, we have turned it into our family home. All of this garden that you can see behind me and around me has been completely designed, gardened, constructed by us. This is probably what we'd say is the most mature part of the garden here, because it's now about 10 years old.
Yes, the wall went in 10 years ago,
Yeah.
the terrace about 9 years ago, and this parterre.
So everything, the hedges, the beech hedges.
Beech hedge is probably one of the oldest, that'd be 10 years. We cut it in a wave this year for a bit of fun.
Yes. You can just see here, it dips and then rises, which is fun. It's good to try different things. So the whole of this garden is probably a mixture of formal and cottage, would you say?
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I like to have lots of flowers. I love roses, I love peonies, I love dahlias. I love the softness that they create in borders. I love texture and form. And this border behind you here always comes into its own around this time of year. So we're in late August now. And so we've got the variegation, we've got the height, we've got the different leaf textures and everything coming into its own at different times of the year.
Sneaky peek in here.
This part of the garden, I'd say, looks its best in June. This pergola is quite a very much photographed part of the garden. A place we keep saying we're going to sit at more often, we never do.
And embarrassingly enough, it was a drunken eBay purchase.
But I will sit here just to show you that we do. This rose is coming into its second flush. This is Pilgrim, and again in June I would probably say it looks its best, and this whole area is a sea of yellow and the scent is incredible. I'm going to take you to another part of the garden where we also have a bench. We have quite a few seating areas in the garden because it's always nice just to stop and sit and just be.
Look at the light on the top of that hedge, it looks fantastic.
Yeah. You can just see the waves as well.
Yeah, well, it really picks it out.
This beech hedge goes a great colour in the next few weeks, so. So here's another place to sit and just enjoy this calming space. Oh, so Amber's going to join me, aren't you, Amber? I really should sit here more often. This is so nice. So behind me are the trees to the Lime Avenue, And if we just turn round and see what I can see, we have positioned a bird bath as a focal point. This is our walkway that leads into our house, and another great place to kick off your boots or sit and just enjoy the garden, and somewhere where I can just display lots of flowers as well.
Also,
we mustn't leave out the trough. You'll be able to see this in my highlights on how we picked it up, moved it here, filled it, what's in it. If you go into my highlights on my Instagram page, The Laundry Garden, you'll be able to see a lot more about the garden and what goes on here. So, there's our garden for you. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you again, Linda. I hope you can come and visit here someday, or any of you viewers that have watched this. Our website is www.thelaundryretreat.co.uk, and my Instagram is The Laundry Garden. I hope to see you. Thank you.